Hey guys, we're back. This time I have my better half with me.
Much better.
So while we are waiting for a verdict to be announced with Oregon, a not guilty, of course, I thought that it would be, I thought that I would try to get other people, just regular, normal Americans, and talk to them about who the Bundys are, from people that just know them outside of everything going on. And also, Jay was going to testify in the first trial, and they ended up not needing him. But his situation is kind of unique because he was at the refuge during the occupation, and then he also went with me after to gather LaVoy's belongings after he was killed. So anyways, I told him that I'm just going to ask him a few questions. This isn't rehearsed. It's not very planned. He's very blunt, so hopefully he behaves himself. And we just, oh, hi Chris. We just thought we would, and if you guys have any questions too, any questions we can answer, we would be more than happy to. So I am going to start. Jay, just tell him about when you went to the refuge, when it was.
Yeah, so we gathered some food and some supplies that people had donated for Ammon and people that were up there. And
was it towards the beginning?
Yeah.
Towards the beginning.
They'd been there, I think, for a couple weeks.
Okay.
And Lisa had some stuff she wanted to give Ammon, and so supplies, and I was going up to also give Ammon a blessing as well too. So yeah, we got the supplies and we went up to the refuge, and we stopped at the Safeway. We were actually waiting for someone that called us and said they had some supplies that they wanted to give us as well too. So it was actually funny driving into Burns. We were like, the anxiety and the like it just kind of heightened a little bit once we got in. And then when we were at Safeway,
you had anxiety because of the Bundys and the scary people at the refuge?
No, it had nothing to do with Ammon or the people that we met at the refuge. It was more kind of the way people were acting in town. Everyone felt there's a sense of anxiety and like almost scared. And then there's a lot of government vehicles all over the place. And I was actually pulling a trailer, so I kind of felt like I was being eyed a lot and watched, because we also went into Safeway and bought some stuff as well too, water and stuff like that for the people of the refuge. And so yeah, and then I had never been to the refuge ever. I didn't even know it really existed. And so I was surprised about how far away it was from the city. It wasn't even close. It was really far from everything that was going on in the city.
So about how long did it take you to drive to the refuge from the Safeway in town?
I can't remember the exact time, but it felt like about, probably because we didn't know where we were going, it was about 20-30 minutes outside of town.
So it was a ways out.
Yeah.
Kind of, would you say it was like...
And we definitely weren't speeding at all, so...
It's hard to hear you and you're freezing. It sounds like everyone's having a hard time hearing, that the reception's not great. I wonder if we should start over.
Should we just finish? Is it because we're under this tree?
I don't know. Maybe we will. Is the reception bad for everyone? If it's bad for everyone, maybe we'll go into our appointment and try in a different location when there's better service. Is the reception bad for are we cutting in and out for everyone? Hello? Maybe let's just finish real quick. Okay, so unless someone says series premiere. Okay, we're gonna continue. Unless the reception's bad for everyone, then we'll stop. We'll stop and do it later, but we're gonna continue. So if we still are cutting in and out, just let us know, everyone. Okay, so the refuge was 20-30 minutes away, so would you say it was like out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it was out in the middle of
nowhere. So it wasn't like they were in town vandalizing and jumping on top of cars and scaring people in town?
No.
Okay. All right. So I remember you called me too at Safeway, and it sounded like you were more concerned about people that looked like FBI that were watching you at the Safeway, or kind of like undercover.
Yeah, there were a couple guys that kept following us everywhere we kind of went.
Not because you were doing anything wrong, but because we just don't know that we can trust them.
Yeah, and I knew, like, I kept my eye on them the whole time, and they weren't trying to hide anything, and maybe they weren't. Maybe it was just me being a little paranoid about it, but yeah, it was kind of an uneasy feeling there. Yeah.
That's funny that you were more worried about the FBI than about Ammon and people at the refuge.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So what do you want me to...
You were driving to the refuge.
Yeah, I just got to the refuge, and
Did anybody at the refuge know who you were?
No.
So the only person you knew was Ammon.
Yes, Ammon and Ryan.
And you just showed up at the refuge, and did they say, no, we don't know you, you can't come in?
No, I just pulled up, and there was a couple guys up front, and I rolled down my window, and I said, hey, I'm here to speak with Ammon Bundy, and I have some stuff to give you guys. And they said, yeah, okay, let's go get them. And so they rode down with me to...
Did you take a gun with you?
No
You didn't
firearms.
have a gun.
No, not at all. And went down, and we stopped. I think we stopped at where LaVoy was staying first to look for Ammon, in the area, and then he wasn't there, so we went back up to the main hall, the mess hall, like where they were preparing dinner and stuff, and then I helped unload all the supplies, and there were some heaters that Lisa had me take up. So we unloaded this stuff for him and helped. But I was really surprised at how clean and organized it was as well too.
So you went to a couple different buildings. You were in wherever the building where the kitchen was. I think they called it the mess hall. And also where LaVoy slept.
Yes. Yeah.
And in the kitchen, was it a mess? Was it dirty?
No, it wasn't dirty at all. They had shelves. Everything was organized, like rice on one side, beans, candy bars or power bars, whatever, drinks, what. Like, it was all very well organized. It wasn't dirty. I didn't see a ton of people there. When we were there, there's maybe 10 people eating when we started eating and stuff. And so, but I did my very first thing when I walked in, there was a family there. He was a rancher. I don't know his name, but he had brought his small children up to actually meet Ammon and find out what was going on up there. And
so they were locals?
Yeah, local, and they small children.
How old do you think they were?
The youngest was probably 6 or 7, and then there's 2 boys and a girl. So I just remember seeing how young they were, thinking, what are they doing here? And then realized that, they were actually having dinner with them, and the dad wanted the kids to see, what was going on, and brought the family to kind of discuss what was going on as well too. So, and then Ammon came down, and they actually invited me in to have dinner with them, and so we prayed and we ate a meal, and then went over to where Ammon was staying, and we gave him a blessing, and then we ended up leaving. So was there for maybe 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours at the most.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So after everyone left the refuge, and after LaVoy was killed, you and I went back to the refuge to gather his belongings. So you went to the same building that you had been in before, right?
It's frozen.
It's funny they allow Sarah to speak and they cut it off when her husband speaks.
Yeah. It's pretty typical.
Well, let's keep going, and sometimes after it's posted, it goes through better. We'll see. We'll just keep going and see what happens. So, we don't have much time, but we have to run into a meeting. But, so after, Jeanette got a hold of us and asked us if we would go and gather LaVoy's belongings after he was killed. And Jay came with me, and he went into that same building that he had been in before. And did it look the same?
No, it didn't look like a bomb went off.
A bomb, like it was like cleanliness dirty, or?
No, it was, you could tell someone had ransacked LaVoy's stuff and gone through it and thrown it everywhere. And the reason I know this is because I personally don't know LaVoy Finicum, but I know his family now, and I know what LaVoy stands for. And I know LaVoy is not the type of person, especially a cowboy like that would live in such disarray and a mess. And as an LDS, temple-worthy individual, we wear undergarments, sacred undergarments, and those were thrown everywhere. So I know LaVoy didn't do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it literally was like the FBI had gone through every single thing, sleeping bags, clothes, everything, and instead of putting it back, they just threw it everywhere. Clothes all over the floor, everything all over the place.
Well, and the guy that, remember when we showed up, we were like, what happened here? And he goes, oh, this is what it looked like when we showed up. This is how they lived.
Yeah,
the
head FBI agent in charge. The other thing too, he was really
nice.
He was really nice, and he was very respectful.
Very helpful.
But a normal person probably wouldn't notice this, but someone like me, whose extended family went through what they went through, when we got to the refuge, to this building to get LaVoy's belongings, the head FBI agent in charge that took us down to the building, he, with his foot, so there was an artifact on the ground, and with his foot, he kicked it over and propped the door open with the artifact.
Yeah.
And I just any regular person probably wouldn't even notice that, but someone like me, like my J Red and Jasmine and their dad isn't here because of a little tiny bead, and here we have the head FBI agent in charge of at the time at the refuge, and he kicks this artifact over that was already on the ground and props the door open with it. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, in Ammon's place when we went over there too, there was probably, because I'm pretty big. I'm 6'5", 330 pounds, and I think
told
they
him
would be
6'6", 320.
Well, thank you.
I gave you some,
Yeah, thank you.
and a little less poundage.
Yeah. So I think they would be intimidated by me. Well, like I wasn't really intimidated. I never felt fear, and to be honest with you, my anxiety level went down because it was almost like a family setting. To be honest with you.
Oh, so you're talking about during
the
occupation?
When we went
we went to get LaVoy stuff.
Yeah, not when we went to get, and also when we went to Ammon's place, it was very clean too. In fact, Ammon had shut some of the rooms off that people were not allowed to go into, because he said there was documents in there and stuff that they didn't want to touch and mess with. So they're very meticulous about where they went and how they got around and what they did. And Ammon said, this is how we found it, and this is how we'll leave it. But,
okay, we have to go into our meeting, but let's talk about the Bundys really fast. So you have been out of town a lot.
I travel a lot for my work, yes.
And the girls and I have been home alone a lot.
Well, not alone.
And
you're just home.
And so we haven't known Lisa and Ammon for that long. We met them a little over a year ago. And, but I have gotten to know the rest of the Bundys really well. Have you ever met Carol or Angie or any of them?
No.
So you haven't met the rest of them, but you know Ammon and Lisa and their family. Are you super protective of your girls?
Yes. Yeah, I have 3
Or do
little
you
girls.
just allow them to go wherever?
Of course not. You know that. Yeah, I'm like the mama bear and the papa bear. Way more protective than Sarah. Probably.
So how do you feel about your girls going to play at an alleged dangerous terrorist house?
Well, for one, they're not terrorists, right? And
we know they're not.
And for 2, Ammon and Lisa are more like family than even our regular family. I mean, they really are our family now, and that's the kind of people they are. That's the kind of... I remember Ammon was coming over for Sunday dinner, and Lisa showed up without Ammon, and we were like, well, where's Ammon? And she's like, well, he had to stop because someone had lost some hay. They were driving, and the hay had come off, and so he took the boys, and they stopped a complete stranger that they didn't know. They were late for dinner. I'm sure they were hungry, and they're about an hour and a half late because they had to help, put the hay back on and bundle it back up and get the guy on the road. And that's the kind of guy Ammon is, right? Like, so yeah, of course I trust them with my family, with my life, with
So bringing
everything.
up family dinner, your family, we live in a small town, and would you say your family is your mom, dad, brothers, sisters, they're pretty well known in the town?
Yeah, everyone knows my
They're
parents.
involved and active
Yes.
participants of the community. So do they ban the Bundys?
No, in fact, I feel safe when you're around people like that.
Because they're good people.
They're great people. They're great Americans.
Some of the best people that we have ever met. And you've never met Angie and Carol, but you know that they're good people just from
Just from Ammon, I know that they're good